Today in art class we are going to add a silhouette tree background to the previously painted monochromatic sky background that we worked on last week in art class. So the steps that we will need to do today I'm going to review right now. So everybody has completed a monochromatic background sky color of their choice. The next step is to add whatever type of silhouette tree winter landscape you want to use. So the first thing you're going to do before you go ahead and go on to sketching it onto your final design is we're going to do two things. We're going to practice the sketch on a piece of construction paper, and then you're also going to practice painting it so you can see how you want it to look. You're going to have three choices of backgrounds, or any additional if you have another idea. One of the types of trees that you can do is a tree that loses its leaves in the winter, so it would be a tree trunk that you sketch, and then some leaf or branch patterns that would reflect like a line pattern for the tree to be bare. Another type of silhouette tree you can do is like an evergreen tree that you would find in the forest. This one is a pretty dense evergreen tree, so you can see that the lines of the leaves and the branch pattern is pretty thick. You don't have to do it in landscape orientation like this. You can do this in portrait, and just showing you the example of the tree style. And another tree style you could do is, again, evergreen, but you can see the branch pattern is much, much thinner, allowing more of the silhouette color to show through. So it's really going to be your option on how you want to create your scene. First thing you're going to do is you're going to get a piece of paper, and you're going to pencil sketch what you want. So imagine that it is your painted scene. We're just going to practice on here. So if I choose to do maybe the evergreen tree like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line down my paper. Again, I'm going to be drawing this real light, and then I'm just going to sort of pencil sketch an outline of what we want, or what I want my tree to be like. This will help me when I go to paint. I can also add a smaller one in the background, similar to what was done in the example. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paintbrush. I need to decide what kind of brush I want to use. Probably for this one I'm not going to use this super thick brush. Maybe for the smaller tree I might use the thinner brush, but I'm probably going to use more of a medium size, like a 1/2 inch brush tip. So I'm going to dip it in the black paint, and first thing I'm going to do is paint the trunk. Okay, paint the line for the trunk. This is really practicing with your brush techniques. We tend to sketch things the way we want, but when it comes to adding paint with the paintbrush, it really is important for us as we're practicing with our painting techniques to add those lines so we have a guide of where we want our paintbrush to take us. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and practice painting. Again, I'm using nice sweeping strokes. My hand is close to the brush. Okay, if I wanted to make it a bit thicker along the middle, I could do that. Okay. Once I have done that and I've practiced, then I'm ready to go on to my final design. So what I'm going to do then is move this to the side. I don't need this any longer unless I want to use it for reference. And I'm going to move on to my final design. From there, I'm going to go ahead and paint just as I had done, or draw the lines, sorry, first just as I had done, of the way that I want my tree or my winter scene to look. If you want to be adding extra details, such as like a fence in the background, now would also be the time to add that as well. I think for this one, I'm just going to add one tree on the left. If you want to add a snowbank, now would be the time to do that as well. If you want to add the snowbank, you're simply going to take a piece of paper and you're going to tear it, giving it like a natural snow line feel. You're going to glue it down on the bottom of your page, and you may need to then go over with some of your lines if some of them have been covered up. Then I'm going to take my brush again, dip it in paint. I think this time, since I practiced with the other, I think this time I'm actually going to make my paint line with a smaller brush, and maybe even some of the top branches I might use a smaller brush. And then I'm simply going to apply what I learned in my practice what I took away as things that worked, what I took away as things that I wanted to change, what I learned, and paint my scene. Okay. I'm going to paint my scene until I'm happy with the way it looks, and then I can either finish right here like this, or I also have an option to add snow. Now if I want to add snow, there are two ways I can do it. I can simply take a small fine tip brush and I can simply add snow if I wanted to add it on the tip of the trees, similar to what you see in this one. You can see snow was added. If I want to add snow to the background, I can sprinkle it on. I can do dots, or I can do another technique of paint splattering where I dip the paint on the brush. If you're going to do this, I suggest you do it over by the sink. I'm simply going to tap a brush. It can be a bit messy again, so again, you're not going to want to do this next to your neighbor's paper. You don't really have as much control with where the paint will go, but that's part of the natural element of it. Okay? And then when I'm happy with the full scene of my tree, I'm going to bring it over to the drying rack to dry.